Good morning. My name is Phyllis Ferguson. I'm Demetrius's mother. First, I want to give honor to God. That's the first thing we got to do every morning. And the second thing I want to say that Demetrius' death was not in vain. Demetrius has donated his organs, and for Demetrius, one life he get to change. He get to change 8 lives. And I'm kind of at a loss for words right now, but I've usually got a whole lot to say. But I'm kind of at a loss for words. And Demetrius was an energetic and a good young man. They took him this morning at 5 minutes to 8 to take his organs, so I'm kind of having a hard time, and this was the last time I got to see him before they do what they do to him, and I'm kind of having a hard time, so I'm opening up for questions right now.
Talk about Stan Donaldson with the plane building.
Pardon me?
Stan Donaldson with the plane building. Can you talk about some of his interests and what he liked to do?
Demetrius liked to play football. He ran track one year. He played with the Lions Club. He was a computer nerd, and he liked his video games, but Demetrius was a health nut. His body was a temple. Demetrius worked out from 5 to 6 days a week, every night at 11:30. Well, every other day at 11:30, he would go downstairs and go to the garage, and he had his weights in there. You hear him click, 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 and then he would come in, and you would hear the cabinets bang, the refrigerator bang, and the microwave say, and he would hear the timer, and he would eat, and then he would go upstairs. Demetrius ate 5 to 6 times a day. You know, and he didn't put none toxins in his body. He didn't have no tattoos, no piercing. He did his body as a temple, and he had lactose intolerance, so he used to take calcium pills and extra vitamin pills, and he was the bomb D. At 7:27, I dropped Demetrius off at school, and I went to Mass at St. Mary's Church. And at maybe 2 or 3 minutes to 8, my daughter called, and I was in Mass. And I stepped out for a moment to check my phone, then I went back in church. And Father Dan Redman, he announced at church that it was shooting at the school. So I stayed there for the blessing, and I left. And I went over to the school, and they did what they needed to do for all of us. They did the best they could with what they had. And I walked around, and I went to the building, and one young lady pulled me aside, and she took me to the back room, and then the lady from the FBI took it from there, and she took me to Metro. I'm gonna miss the midnight clinking. I didn't have a garbage disposal. Demetrius ate everything in the refrigerator. I'm gonna miss that after school when he came home, he would come right in to eat and go back out. And most of all, I'm gonna miss his hugs and kisses. This is one thing that we all should do for our children every day. No matter if they ornery, whatever they going through, you grab your child. Even if they mad at you, they'll get over it. Life goes on. You grab your children, you hug them, and you kiss them, and you tell them you love them. If you can't tell them, you show them. Because that's what I did with Demetrius, except for on Monday. I didn't tell him, you know, because he was running late. He was always late for school. He was always late. And you tell him you love him. And anybody here that get a chance, you tell the person next to you, you pick them up and you hug them. To the left, to the right, you hug them. You tell everybody that you love them.
Ms. Ferguson, thank you for coming out and talking to us. My name
I'm not, no comment.
Please forgive me if this question sounds insensitive, but can you talk about where Demetrius was shot?
In the head.
Back of the head.
They was, when I got to Metro, they had just brought him out of surgery. And then I think it was maybe 20 minutes before I got to see him because they had to bring him upstairs and put him in his room. Yes, he had an older brother, Philip Carter, and Hannah Ferguson.
My name is Mark Cassell. How difficult was it to make the decision to donate his organ?
At the age of 13, when I took Demetrius to get his new identification, he decided he wanted to be an organ donor. I didn't make that decision, he made that decision. So we talked about it, and I told him if that's what he wanted to do, that's fine, and that's how I went. It made me feel good.
Proud.
Ray Simon from WELW. We know that he was an athlete, very good athlete. Do you see a future for him in that? Do you think he would have continued after college?
He was going to play football for Chardon for next year, and yes, he possibly could play college.
What about beyond that? Any expectations?
No.
What do you think he would have been able to do?
You know, Demetrius was a computer nerd, so he would have did something in that field right there. Demetrius was kind and courteous, but if he didn't like you, he didn't say nothing. And Demetrius, when he had something to say, he said it. And you know, sometime as adult, when we talk to our children, which I used to be guilty of this too, we talk at them, we don't talk to them. And this is a lack of communication skills. So this is what I used to tell Demetrius all the time. You know, I can't change yesterday. I only could be in today, right now, right here at this moment, and to move on. Because he would be talking about what went on yesterday, and you know, and he still had it going on. I told him he had to forgive and let it go and move on. And sometimes when we talk to our children, we scream at them, we yell at them. And Demetrius will shut down if you yell at him. And his favorite thing was womp, 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 because that's how it sounds to him, you know, when you yelling at him. And I always had to talk low and melancholy to him, and he'll do anything you ask him to, as long as you speak to him with dignity, because we're guilty of, because they're our children, and they supposed to do what we ask them to. They ain't gonna do what you ask them to till they get ready.
Demetrius, was he friends with the other victims? Had any of them ever come to your house?
All the ones that was at the table, they were friends, but I have never seen them, any of them at my house. But I know he used to go over Nick's house and Russell's house.
Ma'am, at any point in the future, do you ever want to meet any of the people that Demetrius was able to help?
Yes, I would like to.
Brandon Baker was there. How much of the online video tributes and things that other students are posting online, have you looked at that a lot?
I don't. For Lent, I gave up the television, and I'm not a computer person, so I really haven't looked at it. But my brother-in-law gonna make a page for him, and he's gonna post it online with videos and pictures. So that's how that's gonna go. But I don't do that, and that's what's wrong with the children. They too busy looking at that stuff instead of talking to somebody. They rather sit over there and that one sit over there. They rather text each other instead of look each other face to face. We need to look at our children face to face and talk to them. Like Demetrius, this is really funny. Sometime I'll be downstairs and I'll be calling them, and he wouldn't answer. So this is what I would do. I would go to the end of the step and I would call him in my melancholy voice, and he didn't answer. I'd beat on the wall. He'd jump up, run downstairs. Yes, mommy. So our thing is that we need to talk to our children, not at them. No, because forgiveness is part of the healing process to me. Because first of all, God forgave us. Okay? And second of all, you have to forgive, because if you don't forgive, you hold that in your heart. Still your memory of your child in there, you got that hatred in your heart. You know, and this is for my son. This is for my son. You know, and he did things for other people. You know, so this is the remembering of my son. And on March the 8th, which would be Demetrius' birthday next Thursday, I appreciate if everybody would light a candle for him, because he would be 17 years old. They didn't release anything to me this morning. All I know is
One of the recipients is a pediatric, and they said he only had just a few days to live without receiving the transplant. That's all we heard.
and that's all.
Ms. Ferguson, a lot of people are offering funding and trying to help, not only with parents, but with funds. Is there anything in particular, some area that we had a chance to even think about that? Is there something that you'd like to see?
The Chardon community in large is doing what they need to do, and they taking care of each family appropriately.
There's a fund at
Something in
PNC.
particular that you would like to see done, perhaps in memory of your son?
I would probably like to see that the class that would have been coming out the same year that he is, a scholarship fund would be set up for the children that came out the same year that he would come out.
What's your feeling about schools in the future and metal detectors and if they need to take that precaution?
You know what about the metal detector? You know, even though they have the metal detector, they got windows. Okay? They got windows. And they got extra doors. They're going to block all the doors and all this, but that's another thing to talk about, but I'm not going to get into. That's how I feel about it.
You said he was a computer nerd. Are there things that he liked to do on the computer?
He liked to make music and cut it up and make music, and he made videos. You know, and he played computer games on the computer like most children do. You know.
What kind of music did he like to make? Did he like to make beats?
You know what? He liked jazz.
You know any of his favorite artists?
Erica Dabu, whatever her name.
Erica Badu.
Yeah, he liked Erica Badu, and he was in that melancholy thing.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have Holly Walzak coming up.